Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and all of you that will be joining us in a little bit later. Today, we have Tracy Edwards, Councilwoman Tracy Edwards, who's running for Town of Huntington Town Supervisor. I'm Shaniqua Levin, Director of Every Child Matters, and as you know, we like to get on that campaign trail and talk to the candidates and ask them where they stand on children's issues, because unfortunately, how will we know if we don't get in front of the candidates and are actually able to ask them before we go to the polls and cast our vote? We reach out to every single candidate that's running. We show no favoritism. We're nonpartisan, and we try to get all the candidates' platforms to you. So thank you so much, Tracy, for agreeing to do the interview today and being the brave first one. Awesome. So I can't wait to hear the things that you have to say.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to Every Child Matters, because this is a great organization that does wonderful things for kids. You know, I've been very fortunate to be councilwoman for the last 4 years, and one of the things that we were able to do is work together with the community and the school districts and bring some different summer programs in the evening for children, for the junior high and the high school, and on Friday to dedicate a night for children with special needs. Because I think the more that we can do to partner together with the school districts and our community leaders to bring after-school programs and also summer programs for children is will help everyone. It'll help the child, and it'll also help the families and the schools.
For sure. And I think I just want to make sure our volume is on. Pretty sure it is, but I just wanted to double check. Okay. You say something very important about, not only the schools and children, but the families.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Families are struggling more today than there were before. Some of them are working 2 and 3 jobs. They may not have the opportunity to afford the after-school programs and things that are available, although we have a great community-based Tri-CYA as an example that does a lot of work. But the more that we can do as government leaders to help families, to help kids, that's what our job is, in my view.
Yes, I love it. So what do you think that you'll be able to do for children as a town supervisor?
Well, I want to lead by example. So one of the things that we're really so lucky and looking forward to is building that youth center in Manorfield. It is going to be the absolute best on Long Island. It's going to have space for educational programs, mentoring programs, recreational, doing a lot of things that will give kids a break, but also let them learn something from key mentors. One of the things that I'm also very proud of is bringing 30 service organizations together to do some mentoring for young people. Okay. Give them an opportunity to have a role model that's not necessarily their parent or their teacher. So the more positive adults that we can bring into children's lives, the better that they will be, both in character and also in communication and a lot of learning.
Okay, awesome. Tell me, what do you think about, some of the issues that children are facing on Long Island?
Well, it's hard to be a child now. There's a lot of things that are pushing and pulling. We have a, heroin opioid addiction that is there. There's bullying that goes on, both in cyberspace, that a lot of us did not have that when we were younger. So they have a lot more challenges, in my view, than 50 years ago when I was coming up. So I think that they need more resources. I think families need to make sure that everyone has their back, and that starts with the government officials as well. And anything that I can do to help both the families and the children and the school districts, I'll be glad to do that.
Awesome. When I say the word childcare, what does that mean to you, or what do you think about childcare and what we're doing, in Long Island? On Long Island. I'm a Long Islander. It's on Long Island.
On Long Island. That's right.
What do you feel it's going on with the childcare industry?
Well, I think that childcare is expensive. It really is. And parents have to sometimes do pre-K. They have to do before care, before school, because they have to get to work. They have to do after-school care. So I think the school districts are doing a great job helping, but the fact that there's so many child care agencies around and more even coming, then that lets you know that it's definitely needed.
Right. Awesome. What do you think about, for instance, all of the homeless youth that we have? What is your just thoughts and platform on that?
Well, again, the school districts are doing the best that they can, but they need partners, and there are some unaccompanied minors. We have to make sure that they feel a sense of belonging, that we are doing all we can to find out what their needs are, and putting together in place programs to help them. Because we have a responsibility as Americans to do whatever we can, because we have the best country in the world, in my opinion, and we are all in when it comes to, if you see that what's even going on in Puerto Rico right now, what we are accustomed to doing here, especially in Huntington. We did it for those in Texas. We did it for those in Puerto Rico. Is we bring ourselves together in order to help the community. But it starts with me, in my opinion, as town supervisor, that I want to lead this by example.
Okay. And I guess, what is the major thing that, I know you talked about the youth center in Matterfield, but what other major initiatives do you think that you would bring here for children if you were a town supervisor?
I think our first responsibility is to make sure that children are safe, right? We want to have safe communities. It's going to be safety first. But I also want to not only provide recreational programs, I want to take a look at the transportation also, to make sure that both families and children have an opportunity to use our HEART bus system much more often, so that we can move people around Huntington to get to the recreational programs, partnering with the school districts and doing that. It's better for the environment, it gives better access, and it takes our bus system and puts it into better use.
Okay. Awesome. That's a good idea, because a lot of people can't, unfortunately, even in this day and age, aren't able to afford cars. Right. And you still need to be able to get around. And I know as a young child, that was one of the things that I suffered from. We weren't mobile that way, and I couldn't participate in lots of things, even after school things, because how would I get home?
Exactly.
Or how would I get there and back? So
That's right.
It kept me, I remember for me, it was the debate team. I was so excited to join, but they met a couple hours after school.
Right.
So sometimes I'd sit there and wait, and then the meeting would start, and then I'd have to walk home in the dark. So I just couldn't be a part of it.
That's right. So as town supervisor, I want to get, that transportation together with the school districts, find out what their needs are, because a lot of the school districts don't have the after-school buses that they used to. Some do, and some don't. But I think if we sit together, we can plan so that we could bring a whole package together for families.
Okay, awesome. Now, what do you think about children and their exposure to health care?
Well, I am one that believes in everyone is entitled to health care. I don't understand why this is so difficult. We need to be fixing the issues and fixing the costs. But from a table stakes perspective, we should be going in understanding that everyone needs to have health care. I'm a single payer person. I think that is the best approach. But if that's not where the direction is going, well then what is the direction that we're going? Start off with ensuring that everyone is entitled to have health care, and then let's figure out what are the issues with them so that we can fix it.
Okay. And what do you feel that makes you the best candidate for children?
Well, I will tell you that, I've had the opportunity to raise 3 children, but now I am blessed with 2 grandchildren. I've been around children all my life. I was on a school board for 10 years. Prior to that, I was in the PTA. So I bring the passion and the community spirit about kids. And I understand that the more that we can do for not only for young people, but as they get older, because I'm tired of hearing people say that my child has went off to college, but they can't afford to come back here. So I think we have to do it from a youth program perspective, from a support, from a anti-gang or prevention, but also we have to care for housing so that we can do everything that we can for the full length of their childhood and adulthood.
Right. Okay, those are very good points. There's still a lot going on with child abuse when it comes to our children. I believe on Long Island, the stats were just a couple of years, every 50 minutes, a case of child abuse and neglect was reported. Just what are some theories on how we can address that issue?
Well, I think the school districts are trying to do that what they can from a both in the psychology and social worker area, and also any type of county services. But if there is a role for me as the town supervisor and our team, and if there's something that I can do jurisdictionally, I'll be glad to do so.
Okay. And then our final question is, 0 to 5 is such a key important time in a child's life.
Yes, it is.
And it can be a predictor, an indicator for lots of other things that happen in their lives. But yet they are the least invested in age group, or when it comes to advocating for those things, it's so much of a more challenging win. Is there any way that the social justice organizers and allies and family members would able to lean on you as someone that is concerned about that 0 to 5 area, and if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely, because I get it. I understand from an overall perspective that we have to do everything that we can to invest in our children from 0 to 5, because the more we do that, actually, even economically, the more we invest at that younger age, the less intervention that we will have to do as the child gets older. I understand that from a school board perspective, and we have great school districts, great school board officials and administrators and teachers that are out there doing everything that they can. But if I can, from a municipality perspective, apply for grants, state and federal funding, so that I can bring additional dollars into the town in order to help, I'll be glad to do that.
Well, awesome. Is there anything else that you would like for the viewers to know about where you stand on children's issues?
I will tell you that if I am so fortunate to be the town supervisor, people can count on me. Children can count on me. Families can count on me. I will be there. I have been there for the last 4 years, working with the community leaders, working with the school districts, focusing on kids. I will continue to do that, and I believe that I am afforded the opportunity to be supervisor. It'll give me the opportunity to do even more. So on November 7th, vote for Tracy Edwards.
Well, thank you for taking your time out to address children's issues. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you hearing to our rules about not talking about other candidates and just making it about where you stand on children's issues.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. November 7th, Tracy Edwards.